thing she'd watched their mother do their whole lives. Self-destruct. It broke her heart to pieces. "I'm not going to let you do this to yourself." She combed her fingers through Juliana's hair and tried to breathe through the fear and heartache. "Paramedics and police have arrived." Focused on Juliana and making sure she kept breathing, she'd forgotten about the dispatcher on the phone. "The door's open. We're in the bathroom." She checked the urge to hide Juliana's drug paraphernalia, even though her stomach knotted at the thought of the police seeing the evidence and possibly arresting Juliana. She didn't stop them. Juliana needed help, and Adria would make sure she got it. She reminded herself they weren't alone in the world. They had their sisters Roxy and Sonia. Without them, without the Wild Rose Ranch, they'd probably both be dead by now. "Miss, we're here to help. Please step back." Adria leaned down and kissed her sister on the forehead. "Hold on. You're going to be okay now. I love you." The paramedic held his hand out to help her up off the floor. She appreciated the gesture, because even though he was there for her sister, he took the time to help her, too. His presence eased her mind. But her heart still clenched when he put his dark hand on her sister's deathly pale wrist to check her pulse. The wild rose tattoo that started at her sister's shoulder and wrapped around her arm stood out dark green and pink against her translucent white skin. 4 roses: Juliana, Adria, Roxy, and Sonia. Her imagination had one of those roses shriveling and dying. She pushed the nightmare image out of her mind. She couldn't even conceive of her sister leaving her. An officer's radio squawked behind her, the dispatcher relaying information about a burglary in progress. All Adria wanted was for these guys to care about her sister more than anything else, because right now, nothing mattered more than saving Juliana's life. "Miss, can you answer some questions for me?" She didn't turn to the officer, but watched the paramedic check her sister's blood pressure. "What do you want to know?" "Let's start with your name." "Adria Holloway. That's my sister Juliana." "Twins?" Usually that was so obvious, but Juliana had lost weight the last many months. She'd been partying away her days and nights instead of attending school. Adria had just graduated, but as far as Adria knew, Juliana had dropped out. She hadn't attended classes since the first week of the semester. And it pissed Adria off to see her sister waste the opportunity to do and be something better than this. A drug addict, looking for her next score instead of living the life they'd been given here on the ranch. A second chance Adria tried hard every day to embrace instead of her own demons. "Identical," she confirmed, though not in every way. "Can you tell me what happened tonight?" Adria wished she knew what possessed her sister to think getting high and putting her life at risk was a good idea, or that it solved anything. "I'm not sure. I was on a blind date. From hell." More than a year after her last dating debacle, she'd wanted to try again. Another chance to see if she could get past her hang-ups and connect with the man, not see him as the monster from her nightmares. Lonely, she'd wanted to connect with someone. She wanted some physical contact, to feel a man's hands run over her skin and feel the pleasure in his touch. She'd never use one of those stupid apps again. I ended the date early and came home. Not because her date talked about sports for nearly an hour, didn't have any cash or even a credit card, really, to pay for dinner, and then had the nerve to ask her to his place afterward, but because she'd had a bad feeling. Like she'd go to his place after swiping on his picture and messaging him twice to set up the date. She knew nothing about him, except for his favorite football team and that he wanted her to give him head before they had sex. He preferred it that way. She left him with a big "fuck you" and hauled ass home, her mind on her sister and not the Raiders' biggest fan. I walked in the door and knew something was wrong. She'd felt Juliana slipping away, like a piece of her that Adria carried in her soul evaporated. The echo of fear and desolation swamped her system again. She wrapped her arms around her middle, wishing her sister would wake up and hug her. I grabbed the naloxone and ran to her. "Has she overdosed before?" "Once." She never wanted to receive that call from the hospital again. Another shot of pure terror raced through her. For a split second that time, she thought her sister had died, just like tonight when she saw her passed on the floor, her face gray, lips blue, and barely an ounce of life left in her. "Looks like she was getting ready for bed." The officer pointed his pen at Juliana's state of undress. In her red lace bra and a black leather skirt that barely covered her ass, maybe it looked like she